The corridor was silent. That was the first strange thing. Palace hallways were never silent. There was always the soft echo of footsteps, the distant clatter of the kitchens, the muffled voices of staff moving between rooms. But that morning, the East Wing felt different. Heavier, like the air itself was holding its breath. Kate pressed her hand against the stone wall. Her fingers were cold. Her vision was blurring at the edges, soft and slow, like fog rolling in from a lake. She blinked hard. Tried to focus. Tried to breathe. She had been walking this corridor for 3 years. 3 years as a junior palace aide. But today, something was wrong. Her legs felt hollow. Her heartbeat was too loud in her ears. She took one more step, then another. And then the world tilted sideways. She didn't even feel herself fall. Guard Thomas Reeves heard it before he saw it. A soft, sudden sound, like a book dropping off a shelf. He turned from his post at the end of the corridor and saw her on the floor. He was running before he even made the decision to move. "Hey, hey." His voice bounced off the stone walls. He dropped to one knee beside her, 2 fingers pressed to her neck. Her pulse was there. Weak, but steady. He exhaled. "Stay with me," he said quietly, even though she couldn't hear him. Thomas had been a royal guard for 6 years. He had trained for threats, armed intruders, protesters, security breaches. He had not trained for this. A young woman, face pale as paper, collapsed alone in a corridor that should have had 2 more staff members in it by now. He reached for his radio, pressed the call button static. He tried again. Nothing. He looked down the corridor, looked back at Kate, and that's when he noticed something he hadn't seen before. Something he never would have noticed if he hadn't been kneeling on the floor. At her level, looking toward the old service door at the far end of the hall, the door was open. Just barely. An inch, maybe 2. That door was always locked. He had checked it himself that morning during his sweep. He checked it every morning. It led to a part of the palace that had been sealed off for years, a storage wing, they called it. Old furniture, old records. Nothing important. The supervisors always said. He stared at the thin sliver of darkness beyond the door. Something moved inside. A shadow. Small and quick. There and then gone. Thomas felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. He looked at Kate, still unconscious on the cold floor. He couldn't leave her. He wouldn't. But he couldn't ignore what he had just seen either. His hand moved to the baton at his belt. He pressed the radio one more time. "This is Reeves. East Wing. I have a medical situation and a possible breach. Does anyone copy?" The static crackled. Then, for just a moment, he thought he heard something. Not a voice, not exactly. More like breathing. Slow and deliberate. On the other end of the line, then silence again. If this story already has you gripping your seat, you are not alone. Make sure you hit subscribe so you never miss stories like this one. Because what Thomas found behind that door would change everything. Kate's eyelids began to flutter. She was coming back, and whatever was hiding in the dark was still waiting. Asterisk, asterisk. Her eyes opened slowly. The ceiling swam above her, pale and high and blurred. Kate blinked. Once, twice. A face came into focus. A man in a dark uniform. Kneeling beside her, watching her with steady, careful eyes. "Don't try to sit up yet," he said. She didn't argue. Her body had no interest in arguing. Every muscle felt like wet sand. She turned her head slightly and saw the marble floor beneath her, felt the chill of it through her blouse. "What happened?" She whispered. "You fainted," Thomas said simply. "You've been down about 2 minutes. Can you tell me your name?" "Kate," she swallowed. "Kate Mercer. I'm an aide. I work for Director Hale's office. Thomas nodded. I know. I've seen you before. He kept his voice calm, but his eyes flicked just once toward the service door at the end of the corridor. Still open. Still dark inside. Nothing moved now. But that meant nothing. I'm going to help you sit against the wall, he said. Can you move your arms? She could. Slowly, he guided her upright, her back resting against the cool stone, knees bent in front of her. The world steadied a little. My radio isn't connecting, he told her. His voice was even professional, but she noticed something in it, a tension held just beneath the surface. I need to get help. There's a staff phone at the North Junction, about 40 meters back. I don't want to leave you here alone. Kate looked at him properly for the first time. He was in his 30s, she guessed, with a broad, solid build and the kind of face that didn't give much away. But his jaw was tight. And he wasn't looking at her anymore. He was looking at that door. What is it? She asked. Probably nothing. He said it too quickly. She turned her head and followed his gaze. The service door. Slightly ajar, a thin vertical line of darkness between the frame and the edge. She had walked past that door hundreds of times. She had never seen it open before. That door is supposed to be locked, she said. Yes, is something in there? A pause. Just a beat too long. I saw movement, he admitted. Before you woke up. Could have been a rat. Could have been shadows. He didn't sound like he believed either option. Kate pressed her palms flat against the floor and pushed herself to her feet. Her legs wobbled, but held. Thomas stood with her, one hand ready at her elbow. I'm coming with you, she said. You just collapsed, and now I'm standing. She met his eyes. I'm not sitting here alone with that door open. He studied her for a moment, then gave a short nod. He understood. Some things you didn't need to explain. They moved carefully down the corridor. Back toward the North Junction, keeping close to the wall. The sound of their footsteps seemed too loud. Kate kept her eyes ahead, but every few seconds she glanced back at the service door behind them. It didn't open further. Nothing came out. They reached the staff phone. Thomas lifted the receiver. A dial tone hummed through, steady and clear. He called the security desk and kept his voice low, professional. Medical situation, East Wing. Staff member needs assessment. He did not mention the door. Not yet. When he hung up, Kate was watching him. Why didn't you tell them about the door? She asked. He looked at her. Then down at the floor. Something was working behind his eyes, a thought he wasn't ready to say out loud. Because I want to look first, he said quietly. Before I say anything official, he paused. There's something you should know. That storage wing, it was sealed off 2 years ago. I was told it was routine. Maintenance issues? He looked up at her. But last week, I saw Director Hale go in there, alone. And when he came out, he locked it himself. With a key I've never seen before. Kate went very still. Director Hale, her boss. The man whose office she had worked in for 3 years. The man who had hired her, mentored her, told her she had a bright future in the palace. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Thomas looked back down the corridor, toward the faint sliver of dark beyond the service door. Because you work for him, he said. And whatever is in that room, I don't think it's old furniture. Asterisk, asterisk, the medical team arrived in under 4 minutes. A nurse checked Kate's blood pressure. Shone a light in her eyes, asked the usual questions. Low blood sugar, mild dehydration, most likely the cause of the faint. Nothing dangerous. She was given water and a glucose tablet and told to rest. Thomas stood nearby and said all the right things. Witnessed her fall. Stayed with her until she regained consciousness. Called for help as soon as the radio cleared. He did not mention the door, and neither did Kate. She wasn't sure why. She had worked in this palace long enough to know the protocol, any anomaly, any potential breach. any door that was open when it shouldn't be. You reported it immediately. You did not wait. You did not investigate on your own, but something stopped her. Maybe? It was the way Thomas had looked when he said Hale's name. That careful, measured look of a man who had been watching something for a long time and was only now deciding what to do with what he had seen. Or maybe it was something she had been trying not to think. About 4 weeks, she had noticed things. Small things. Emails from Director Hale that referenced meetings she had never been asked to schedule. A name Voss that appeared in documents she processed but was never explained. A courier who came to the office once a month. Always on a Tuesday. Always at 8:15 in the morning. And who Hal always greeted personally, which he never did with anyone else. She had filed these things away in the back of her mind. The way you filed away things that made you vaguely uncomfortable but couldn't justify. She told herself they were nothing. She told herself she was overthinking. The nurse packed her bag and reminded Kate to eat something proper. Then they were gone. The corridor was quiet again. Thomas looked at her. "Still want to know?" he asked. She nodded. They waited 20 minutes. Long enough for the medical team to clear the area. Long enough for the next routine guard rotation to move to the south wing. Thomas knew the schedule. He knew exactly how long they had. 17 minutes. They walked back to the service door together. Thomas used a narrow multi-tool from his belt to widen the gap, not breaking in. Just easing it open further, since it was already unsecured. The hinges were old and made no sound. Someone had oiled them recently. That detail alone made Kate's stomach tighten. The room beyond was dark. Thomas switched on a small torch. The beam swept slowly across the space. It was not a storage room, or rather, it had been. At some point, long ago, the room had held the remnants of old palace furniture. She could see a few draped shapes in the far corner, dusty and forgotten. But the center of the room had been cleared. And what replaced the furniture made no sense at first glance. A folding table. A laptop closed. A portable hard drive. A metal filing cabinet padlocked. And on the wall photographs, printed, not digital. Dozens of them pinned in overlapping rows. Kate stepped closer. The torchlight moved across the images. Faces, people she didn't recognize. Buildings, handwritten notes pinned beside the photos. Dates, times, locations. Arrows connecting names. Red ink circling certain faces. And at the center of it all, a single photograph, larger than the rest, pinned at eye level. A man, older, photographed from a distance outside what looked like an airport. Someone had written 4 words beneath it in thick red pen. "He cannot be trusted." Thomas pointed the torch at the bottom corner of the photograph. At a small detail Kate had almost missed. A palace security badge. The man in the photo was wearing one. Kate leaned in, studied the face. Then her breath stopped. She knew him. She had seen him just that morning in the corridor outside Hale's office. Before she had begun her walk through the East Wing, she had smiled at him. He had smiled back. He was the head of Palace Security. Asterisk, asterisk, his name was Commander Gerald Ashby. 31 years with the Palace Security Division. Decorated twice. Trusted completely. The kind of man whose name alone was enough to end any doubt. Close any question, silence any concern. Kate stared at his photograph on the wall. Her mouth was dry. "Hale is investigating Ashby," Thomas said quietly. He wasn't asking. He was thinking out loud, the pieces falling into place. This isn't a breach. This is surveillance. Hale set this room up himself. To spy on the head of security, Kate said, or to protect himself from him. The distinction landed heavily between them. Thomas moved the torch slowly across the wall. The photographs were organized, not randomly pinned, but deliberate. A timeline, almost. Months of work. There were printed bank records, sections highlighted in yellow. There were copies of internal memos, some of which Kate recognized. They passed through Hale's office regularly. Someone had circled names on those memos, not just Ashby's name. Others 2.3 names she didn't recognize, and one she did. Voss. There it was, the name she had seen in documents for months. The name no one ever explained. She reached toward the wall. Thomas caught her wrist, gently but firmly. "Don't touch anything," he said. "If this is what I think it is, we can't disturb this room. What do you think it is?" He hesitated. In 6 years of palace service, Thomas Reeves had learned to be careful with words, careful with accusations. But standing in this room, in this cold light, looking at the evidence pinned to these walls, caution felt like a luxury they could no longer afford. "I think Hale found something," he said. "Something big enough that he couldn't report it through official channels, because the official channels are compromised." Kate turned to look at him. Compromised by who? By whoever Ashby is working with. The words sat in the air like smoke. Kate wanted to dismiss them. She wanted to say it was too dramatic, too extreme, that there was surely a rational explanation. But she had worked inside this building for 3 years. She had seen how power moved through it quietly, indirectly, through small favors and careful silences. She had always told herself she was too junior to see the full picture. Maybe she had been right. A sound from the corridor. Both of them froze. Footsteps, slow, unhurried, growing closer. Someone walking the east wing. Thomas killed the torch instantly. Darkness swallowed everything. Kate pressed herself against the wall beside the door. She could feel her pulse in her throat. The footsteps grew louder, a steady, confident rhythm. Someone who knew where they were going. They stopped just outside the door. Kate held her breath. Beside her, Thomas was completely still. She could feel the tension radiating off him, not panic, but readiness. The trained stillness of someone who had learned to wait in the dark. A long silence. Then the footsteps moved again. Past the door, continuing down the corridor, fading slowly into the distance. Neither of them moved for a full minute. Then Thomas switched the torch back on. His face was composed, but his jaw was tight. "We need to leave," he said. Now, before the next rotation, they slipped back through the door. Thomas eased it to the same position they had found it open, just an inch, just 2. As if no one had touched it. They walked quickly toward the main corridor junction, not running, not speaking. Kate's mind was racing. Hale, Ashby, Voss, a hidden room. A wall full of secrets in a building full of people who were supposed to protect the most. Powerful family in the country. She thought about her desk. Her computer. The emails she processed every day, how much had passed through her hands without her understanding what it meant. They reached the junction. Thomas stopped and turned to face her. "Go back to your office," he said. "Act normal. Don't search for anything on your work computer. Don't ask anyone about Ashby or Voss. What are you going to do?" He looked at her steadily. "I'm going to find Hale." Kate nodded. She started to walk away. Then she stopped. "Thomas." She turned back. What if Hale is the one who set the trap? What if this whole room is meant to be found? He stared at her, and for the first time since she had opened her eyes on that cold marble floor, Kate saw something in Thomas. Reeves's face that frightened her more than anything else. She had seen that morning. Doubt, doubt, asterisk, asterisk. Kate sat at her desk and stared at her. Computer screen without reading a word on it. The office hummed around her. Phones rang in distant rooms. A colleague 2 desks over laughed at something. The ordinary sound of an ordinary morning. She pressed her hands flat on the desk to stop them from shaking. She thought about what Thomas had said. Go back to your office. Act normal, she was trying. But normal felt like a costume she had forgotten how to wear. Director Hale's office door was closed. It was often closed. She had never thought anything of it before. Now she looked at that closed door and thought about what he might be doing behind it, who he might be calling, what he knew about the room in the East Wing, and whether he knew that someone had been inside it this morning. At 11, his assistant, a quiet, careful woman named Sandra, came to Kate's desk. "The director wants to see you," Sandra said. Soft voice. No expression. Kate felt the blood drain from her face. She forced a smile. "Of course," she said. "Give me 1 minute." She walked to the bathroom at the end of the hall, ran cold water over her wrists, looked at herself in the mirror. She looked pale. She looked like a person who had fainted that morning and then broken into a secret room and seen things that couldn't be unseen. She needed to look like neither. She dried her hands, straightened her jacket, walked back. Hale's office was large but sparse. He preferred bare surfaces, minimal decoration, just a wide desk, 2 chairs for visitors, and floor-to-ceiling windows that let in a flat gray light. He was standing when she entered, hands behind his back, looking out at the courtyard below. "Kate," attained. His voice was warm. It had always been warm. "How are you feeling?" "I heard about this morning. A faint. Was it? In the East Wing?" "Yes, sir." She sat in the chair he gestured to. "Low blood sugar," they said. "I'm feeling much better." He nodded slowly, studying her. His eyes were sharp and light-colored, pale blue, almost gray. The kind of eyes that seemed to absorb information quietly, without broadcasting what they found. "You were in the East Wing early," he said. "That's not your usual route," it was said casually. But it wasn't a casual observation. "I was taking a longer walk," she said. "I've been trying to move more." Doctor suggestion. Another nod. He sat down behind the desk and picked up a pen, turning it slowly in his fingers. "I wanted to check in with you personally," he said. "You're a valued member of this office, Kate. I hope you know that." A pause. "Is there anything on your mind? Anything troubling you lately?" The question was gentle, open. Concerned, she held his gaze and said, "No, sir. Everything is fine." He watched her for a long moment. The pen turned once more between his fingers. "Good," he said finally. "Take it easy today. No need to push yourself." She stood, thanked him, walked to the door. "Kate." She stopped, turned. He was looking down at his desk now, already picking up a document. The East Staff entrance was a plain gray door at the back of the building. It was used mostly by kitchen workers and groundskeepers. At 12:30, it was quiet. Thomas was already there when Kate arrived. He looked different. His jacket was off. His sleeves were rolled up. The calm from the morning was gone. Something more urgent had taken its place. He was holding a folder. "How much time do we have?" Kate asked. "An hour and a half before Hale's sweep." He opened the folder. "I went to the archive records before I messaged you. Voss Operation Voss is listed in the Internal Security Index under a classification I have never seen before. Not standard red or black clearance. A completely separate code. It was logged 18 months ago. The authorization signature on the filing belongs to Ash By." Kate looked at the papers. They were photocopied. She could see the archive watermark in the corner of each page. "What is the operation?" she asked. "That is what I cannot find," Thomas said. "The index lists it, but the content files are sealed, physically sealed, removed from digital storage and placed in hard copy only." He looked at her, which means someone did not want them accessible from any networked computer. Someone who knew how to avoid leaving a digital trail. Kate thought about the hidden room. The laptop on the table, closed. The hard drive beside it. Hay has them, she said. That is what was on that laptop. That is what was on the drive. I think so. So Hallie found out about Voss. He started investigating Ash and instead of reporting it through official channels, he built a private case. Thomas finished. Because the official channels run through Rash By. And Dash By is the operation. Kate turned away and pressed her fingers to her temples. She thought about the photograph on the wall. The words written beneath it. He cannot be trusted. She thought about the courier who came every Tuesday. The meetings Hallie never asked her to schedule. The small, careful way he had managed information around her. Not lying to her, exactly, but controlling what she knew. He had been protecting her and protecting his evidence. We have to get into that room before his team does, she said. Thomas looked at her steadily. I thought about that, he said. But if we take the materials and report this ourselves, to whom? Every chain of command in this building runs through Ash By. Then we go outside the building. Silence. It was a serious thing to say. To take evidence from a palace office and bring it to an outside authority, even if that authority was legitimate, even if the cause was right, was the kind of decision that ended careers. That ended more than careers. Sometimes. But they both already knew that this had gone beyond career decisions. Thomas reached into the back of the folder and pulled out a single card. A name and a phone number, written by hand. Cause contact, he said. The person he was building the case for. I found a note in the archive room, tucked inside an old logbook. The kind of place you would only know to look if someone had told you. He paused. It is a name from the National Oversight Committee. Someone outside the palace's direct chain of authority. Kate took the card. Read the name. She did no trekiness it. We call them, she said. Yes, and we go back to that room. Right now. He looked at her. 6 years of training. 6 years of protocol. 6 years of following every procedure exactly as written. Right now, he agreed. They moved fast. 12 minutes to reach the East Wing. The corridor was empty. The service door was where they had left it, open an inch. A thin sliver of darkness beyond it. Thomas pushed it open. The room was still intact. The table. The laptop. The filing cabinet. The wall of photographs with Ashby's face at the center. All of it untouched. Thomas began photographing the wall with his personal phone. Every image, every note, every red ink annotation. Kate opened the laptop. It was password protected. She did not try to force it. She photographed the outside of the device instead, the serial number on the bottom. The small handwritten label Hale had stuck to the corner. A single letter and 4 digits. It might mean nothing to most people, but it would mean something to the right person. 8 minutes. They worked without speaking. Then Thomas stopped. He was looking at something in the far corner of the room. Behind one of the dusty covered shapes, something had caught the torchlight. He walked over and pulled the sheet aside. A safe, small and portable. The kind you could find in any security store. But this one had a dial lock. And taped to the top was a folded note. He looked at Kate. She looked at him. He unfolded the note. Read it. His face went very still. Then he handed it to her. The handwriting was Hale's. She recognized it immediately from 3 years of reading his signature. It said, "If someone finds this room before I return, you are already in danger. Do not wait. Do not trust the internal process." The safe code is the year this palace was first used as an official residence. Call the number I left. Tell them, "The crow has landed." Kate read it twice. Then she called the number on the card. It rang 3 times. A woman answered, older, calm, yes. Kate's voice was steady, steadier than she expected. "The crow has landed," she said. A pause. 3 seconds. Where are you? East Wing. Palace Service Corridor. We have evidence. Do not move. Stay off all palace communication systems. I will have someone there in 40 minutes. The line went quiet. Kate lowered the phone. She looked at Thomas. Outside, somewhere deep in the building, a clock chimed once for the quarter hour. They sat down on the dusty floor together, their backs against the cold stone wall, and they waited. Later, when it was all over, when the investigation was made public, when the names were finally named, when the long and careful operation to leak classified security intelligence to people outside the country had full unraveled, Kate would be asked many times how it had all started. She always gave the same answer. She fainted in a corridor. A guard found her. And the wrong door was opened by just 1 inch. Sometimes 1 inch is enough.